started, WNBA GM selected Paige Beckers as a player they would most like to start a franchise with. What's your reaction to that?
Well, all those GMs probably going to get fired because this is a money business. And money is about Caitlin Clark, who is the player who has made, never in the history of the WNBA have we had a player force teams to get into larger arenas. I've never seen that happen. And so if you're the GM, you're obviously supposed to be bringing in money. That's revenue.
That was Lisa Leslie on First Take, and she strongly criticized every WNBA general manager who chose Paige Beckers over Caitlin Clark to build a team around. She said those GMs should be fired, and her comments highlighted an issue the league has been trying to avoid for more than a year.
She absolutely drags every single GM in the league that voted not to start their franchise with Caitlin Clark. She dragged them all through the mud. She talked business and sense. She talked dollar signs. She said, y'all know we're in a money-making business,
The argument
right?
was all about money and business. The WNBA saw a 48% increase in attendance during the 2024 season and reached record-breaking TV ratings. Caitlin Clark averaged 1.8 million viewers per game on ESPN as a rookie, and her jersey became the fastest-selling rookie jersey in league history just weeks after the draft. So when 17 WNBA general managers said in a preseason survey that they would rather build a franchise around Paige Beckers, Lisa Leslie was not really talking about basketball talent. She was questioning the business decision behind it.
Y'all know we're in an industry that people want to get paid in, right? You know who's going to help you guys get paid the most? You know who's going to pack the arenas the most? You know who's going to get you the most sponsorship deals, the most advertisement deals, the most exposure, the most jersey sales, the most merchandise? Do you know who's going to do that for you guys? It ain't PB. It ain't Paige.
Discussion is about money, ticket sales, sponsorships, jerseys, and merchandise, not just opinions. The Indiana Fever moved 14 road games to larger arenas in 2024 because of the huge demand to watch Caitlin Clark. The Washington Mystics also moved their July game against the Fever to Capital One Arena and sold more than 20,000 tickets, setting a franchise attendance record. No player in WNBA history, including Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, or Maya Moore, had ever created that level of demand. So when Lisa Leslie said some general managers could lose their jobs, she meant they were ignoring the clear business numbers in front of them.
This is put out by Boardroom, via Fanatics and the NBA store. Boardroom, we see you, Caitlin Clark, the same group of schmoes that said A'ja Wilson and Paige Beckers were more marketable. This is why you have to look at these lists sometimes from people like Boardroom and just laugh at them. This is why you don't take their opinions too seriously. You just have to laugh when they come out with bogus lists like A'ja Wilson, Paige Beckers, Caitlin. What are we doing here? What are we talking about here?
This is the part that really stands out. According to Boardroom, Caitlin Clark had the second highest selling jersey across Fanatics and the NBA store since 2024. She ranked ahead of LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and Victor Wembanyama. The only player above her was Stephen Curry. That shows the level of commercial success she reached almost immediately. Even with those numbers, many league executives and general managers spent the offseason promoting A'ja Wilson and Paige Beckers as the better long-term faces of a franchise. The argument being made is that the league's massive new 11-year, $2.2 billion media rights deal was heavily boosted by the attention, TV ratings, and fan interest created during Clark's rookie season, and that everyone involved in those negotiations understood how important her impact was.
Shooting 91% from inside 5 feet and making more in that range than Stewie, A'ja Wilson, Angel Reese, but we're not surprised. That's her kryptonite. Within 5 feet, Angel Reese is kryptonite, and Brittany Griner. Caitlin Clark haters really do anything but watch basketball. She's averaging 5.5 field goal attempts per game within 5 feet, finishing at a 90.9% clip. Caitlin Clark, one of the most underrated parts of her game is the ability to get by a defender and finish in the paint.
Basketball results support it too. Early in her second season, Caitlin Clark was finishing more than 90% of her shots within 5 feet of the basket. That percentage was even higher than players like Breanna Stewart, A'ja Wilson, and Angel Reese in the same area. Before the season, many people claimed defenses had already figured her out, that her three-point shooting would be limited, and that she had no backup plan offensively. But the actual games show something different. She is attacking the basket, taking contact, and finishing at the rim at a level that very few guards in the league can reach. That is why people keep asking what WNBA general managers are really looking at when they choose someone else over her to build a franchise around.
I believe I saw a stat. Caitlin Clark, the amount of time she had 18 points and 8 assists, she's number 1 in that category. Already. In 54 games, Caitlin Clark is number 1 in that category. Passing Skylar Diggins, passing Diana Taurasi, passing Chelsea Gray, passing Becky Hammon. You name it, she passed them. She is going to go down as one of the best, if not the best. Scratch that. Sorry, my bad. She's going to go down as the best point guard to ever play the WNBA.
Took Caitlin Clark only 54 games to set the WNBA record for the most games with at least 18 points and 8 assists. She passed legends like Cheryl Swoops, Diana Taurasi, Chelsea Gray, and Becky Hammon, and she did it before even reaching a quarter of her second full season. This is no longer just a short hot streak. She is playing at a pace that could eventually place her among the greatest point guards in WNBA history. Her career is already becoming historic, even though she is still very early.
This had me thinking, though. You have Lisa Leslie on ESPN talking WNBA, only because she's on a media tour. Caitlin Clark's played twice. He hasn't talked to Caitlin Clark at all. Stephen A. Smith has a show. He hasn't talked to Caitlin Clark at all. Colin Cowherd has a show. He hasn't talked to Caitlin Clark at all. Nick Wright, he has a show. He hasn't talked to Caitlin Clark at all. Shannon Sharp, Nightcap. They haven't talked to Caitlin Clark at all. Dan Dockage, an Indiana native. Someone who played basketball at
Indiana. The bigger question being asked is about the media coverage around Caitlin Clark. When Lisa Leslie spoke about her on First Take, it quickly became a major topic because very few big sports personalities are discussing Clark regularly anymore. The argument is that people like Stephen A. Smith, despite hosting one of the biggest daily sports shows, have not done major interviews or consistent coverage focused on her. Commentators such as Colin Cowherd, Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp, and Chad Johnson were heavily covering Clark during her college career at University of Iowa, but critics now feel that much of that attention has faded even while her popularity and influence in the WNBA continue
University, Hoosierville, had Lynn Dunn on his radio show. Caitlin Clark's rookie season. He doesn't talk to Caitlin Clark anymore. The only one still talking Caitlin Clark day in and day out from the mainstream media is Jason Whitlock. Nobody else talks about the WNBA in the mainstream media. Nobody else talks about Caitlin Clark out there in the mainstream media. It really is the fans and the content creators and Whitlock, and that's pushing this thing forward. Because the mainstream media, they're damn sure not giving Caitlin Clark any help.
Argument being made is that many major sports media personalities stopped regularly covering Caitlin Clark once the story around her became more complicated. People point to figures like Dan Dakich, an Indiana native whose local team is the Indiana Fever, and say he rarely discusses Clark now despite her huge impact on the league. The same criticism is aimed at other radio and television hosts who heavily covered her during her college run but later reduced that attention. According to this viewpoint, many media outlets focused on Clark during her time at University of Iowa because she generated massive ratings, clicks, and online engagement during the NCAA tournament and the WNBA draft. But after she joined the WNBA and conversations expanded into tougher topics like league culture, physical play, locker room dynamics, and broader social debates, many of those same voices became less active in covering her story.
She's averaging 5.5 field goal attempts per game within 5 feet, finishing at a 90.9% clip. Caitlin Clark, one of the most underrated parts of her game is the ability to get by a defender and finish in the paint. We're all talking about the three-point shot, which we have every right to do. We're all talking about the step back, which we have every right to do. But Caitlin Clark gets by defenders, I'm not going to say easily, but surprisingly easily. And she finishes at the rim, and we're not surprised that Caitlin Clark, one of the few individuals in this league that can finish around the rim at a high clip. The narrative, what else can she do besides shoot threes? And I don't know, play make and finish around the rim and rebound at an elite level, especially.
Main point being made is that Lisa Leslie believes many WNBA general managers ignored clear business and basketball results when they chose Paige Bueckers over Caitlin Clark as the player they would most want to build a franchise around. The argument says the evidence strongly favors Clark in almost every major category. The WNBA's new 11-year, $2.2 billion media rights deal came during the same period that Clark brought record TV ratings, sold-out arenas, and huge national attention to the league. The Indiana Fever became the highest-attended team in WNBA history, and their road games regularly drew crowds of more than 15,000 fans because of the excitement around Clark. Major brands like State Farm, Nike, Gatorade, Panini, and Bose all built major campaigns around her, which supporters say proves her commercial impact is unmatched right now in women's basketball. Critics of the GMs also point out that the survey happened after Clark already had a historic rookie season where she broke records, became an All-Star, earned all WNBA first-team honors, and even received MVP consideration on some ballots. Because of that, they argue the decision was not only about basketball skill but also reflected deeper opinions inside league leadership about who should represent the WNBA. The discussion also criticizes mainstream sports media for reducing coverage of Clark after her move from college basketball at University of Iowa to the WNBA, especially once topics like league culture, physical play, and locker room politics became part of the conversation. According to this viewpoint, independent creators and fans are now carrying much of the daily discussion around the league instead of major television networks and national sports shows. Leslie's supporters believe she understands how important this moment is because she saw the WNBA go through both growth and difficult periods during her own career. They argue she was warning the league not to waste a rare opportunity to build around a player who has already changed attendance, ratings, sponsorships, merchandise sales, and national attention at a historic level.